So today I would like to bring some clarity at least to why we're doing this and to frame it in the context of charters and charter systems. So if we look at it this way, in our community, and my position I've taken over the last 5 years is we can't afford to have parts of our community that are dysfunctional. We can't afford to, I call it dead spots in our community. If our community, that's why we have community schools, and our community schools ought to be the epicenters of our neighborhoods, and they ought to help build the capacity of those neighborhoods to have healthy children, as well as healthy adults in that neighborhood. When people think of charters, most of the time they're thinking about startup charters, which are privatized or run by private companies outside the school board. Conversion charters are locally developed, like us, J.J. Harrison, actually, the Career Academy. What we're talking about is something very, very different. We're talking about a reform model. The three choices that districts have are what we call charter system or system of charters. That's one. An I squared, which is a particular model, is the second, or something called status quo, which is remaining how you do current business. The school board and I have had conversations of the last 2 years about what model we would like to choose. But we decided not to choose a model because we've been very innovative, we've been very creative, and we've already had flexibility, and most of the time the state gives it to us, and it has been in these last 2 or 3 years. So when we talk about charter systems, we're not talking about privatization. We're not talking about charter schools. We're not talking about independent management. What we're talking about is allowing more local control for them to decide on the needs of their neighborhood in order to close the achievement gap. And those governance teams are working on that structure now, would be multifaceted with teachers and community members and agencies and students. But and we're working with our local, with Athens Clarke County Police and Chief Lumpkin. So we're looking at a lot of pieces, but I think this is going to provide us a tremendous opportunity to make change. Let me give you a couple of examples. If a school decided that they needed an early literacy in a neighborhood program, and we had the resource, they had the resources, they could make that decision if that built their community. If they decided that they needed counseling services or health services in their community because that would help strengthen their neighborhood and strengthen the engagement of their parents in the community, then that's what they would do. And obviously that would look different in every neighborhood. So in this charter system, every elementary school would have a governance team. And that governance team would not have the powers of a school board, but they would have local governance that we would decide in our application, and it would already range to how the principal chooses personnel. It could be certainly how they select principals, and we do that already. They already work on their local building plans for SPLOST. They already do their local improvement plans, so it would change the governance structures where the current school councils would be gone, the current improvement leadership teams in our school would change, and this governance would take responsibility for their school in closing the achievement gap and improving performance. I hope that answers some of the questions out there, or at least rids people of some fears they may have when they think of charters. This is just a way to build greater capacity in the community in Clarke County School District. Thank you.